Rain hammered softly against the wide windows of the Ikoyi mansion, making the whole house feel colder than usual. Inside the servant quarters, Amira Delgado sat on her small, narrow bed, hugging her knees as she tried to warm herself. Her room was simple, almost empty, with only a thin mattress, a wooden chair, a cracked leg, and a tiny wardrobe that barely closed. The air smelled faintly of soap, the kind she used to scrub the rich marble floors of the house every morning. Amir was 19, small in size, quiet, soft-spoken, with warm brown skin and curly black hair she often packed into a low bun because she was always working. She had come from a struggling mixed heritage family in Trinidad and Sierra Leone, raised by a single mother who could not afford much. She moved to Lagos on the promise of work from a distant aunt, only to discover that the job was simply being made for a powerful Ikoyi family. She accepted it anyway because she needed money. She needed hope. She needed a life that her mother never got to enjoy. Tonight, she felt especially lonely. The mansion had been loud earlier. The boss, Mr. Khalil Mensah, a well-known Ghanaian Nigerian businessman in his early 30s, had hosted an important dinner with politicians and business partners. Amira served appetizers, poured wine, and quietly blended into the background, like she always did. She did not belong to their world, and she never forgot that. She was wiping the corners of her eyes, exhausted from the long night, when she suddenly heard fast footsteps approaching her door. Heavy, urgent, nothing like the slow, calm steps she knew belonged to the other staff. Before she could stand, the door swung open. Khalil stood there, her boss, the man she carefully avoided looking at for more than a second because his presence made her heart beat in a strange, confusing way. He always looked too perfect for her eyes. Tall, caramel brown skin, sharp jawline, tired but intelligent eyes that carried stories she would never know. But tonight, he did not look powerful. He did not look calm. He looked broken. His shirt was half unbuttoned, his tie missing, his eyes red and wet like he had been crying. His breath shook as he held the doorframe for support. "Amira, please, I can't be alone right now," he whispered, voice cracked like a man carrying the weight of the world. She froze. She had never seen him like this. She had seen him angry, stressed, focused, or frustrated, but never destroyed. His voice was trembling. His eyes were full of silent pain she could not name. "So is everything okay?" she asked gently, her voice shaking too. He stepped inside without answering, closed the door behind him, and leaned his back against it. His chest rose and fell too fast, like he was fighting something deep inside. "She left," he murmured. "Who left, sir?" "My fiancée. She walked out tonight, in front of my guests, in front of my mother. She said I was too cold, too distant, too empty, that I did not know how to love anyone." His voice cracked again, and he ran a hand through his hair before letting out a painful breath. Maybe she is right. Amira swallowed, unsure what to say. She wanted to comfort him, but she also knew her place. Maids did not comfort bosses. Their worlds were too far apart. But she could not ignore the tears gathering in his eyes. "I am so sorry, sir," she whispered. His eyes finally lifted to hers. The pain she saw inside them made her chest tighten. He looked like a man drowning, gasping for anything that could keep him from sinking deeper. "I did not want to come here," he said quietly. I saw your light, and I knew you were awake, and I felt safe." Safe. The word shocked her more than his presence. "Sir, maybe you should rest," she said carefully. But he shook his head, slowly, like he was losing strength. "Please, Amira, just stay with me. Just be here, just for a moment." She hesitated. Her heart beat too fast. She could smell the scent of his cologne mixing with rain. She could see his hands shaking slightly. She could feel the heaviness around him. She stepped closer and whispered, "Sit, sir." He obeyed like a tired child, sitting heavily on the edge of her bed. His eyes stared at the floor. He was silent for a long time, breathing slowly, and she stood beside him, unsure what to do next. Then he whispered, "Do you ever feel like no one sees you? Like no one hears you? Like no matter what you give, no one thinks it is enough?" Her chest tightened. She felt like those words lived inside her every single day. "Yes, sir," she said softly. "I feel that way, too." He finally looked up at her. A soft, almost broken smile touched his lips. "I knew you would understand." The room felt too small for the two of them, too warm, too close. She could smell the faint alcohol on his breath. But he was not drunk. He was hurt, deeply hurt, the kind of hurt that made people act in ways they normally wouldn't. Alf. He touched her hand suddenly, gently, tremblingly, like he needed to feel something that reminded him he was alive. "Amira," he whispered, "I don't want to feel alone tonight." Her heart thumped loudly in her chest. She could not breathe. She could not think. She could only feel the heat rising up her neck and cheeks. "Sir," she whispered, trying to pull her hand away. But he held it tighter. "I'm not asking you as a boss," he whispered. "I'm begging you as a human being. Just don't leave me alone like this." Tears filled her eyes before she could stop them. She felt overwhelmed. She felt confused. She felt pity, deep, strong pity, for this powerful man sitting broken on her small bed. He looked up at her again, searching her face with soft, begging eyes. "Please," he whispered. And in that moment, something inside her cracked. She knew she should step back. She knew she should keep a distance. She knew their worlds were not meant to touch. But she also knew what loneliness felt like, what hopelessness felt like, what it felt like to be unloved, unseen, unheard. He did not force her. He did not push her. He did not even move closer. He only looked at her like she was the only thing keeping him from falling apart. And she made a choice she had never imagined she would make. She sat beside him on the bed. She took his shaking hand. She whispered, "It's okay." And because she could not bear his brokenness, because pity wrapped around her chest like a chain, because her heart did not think before her body moved, she gave herself to him. She gave him something she had been holding on to for years, something she had planned to give to the man she would one day love, something she had protected fiercely, her first time, her innocence, her last piece of untouched purity. And afterward, long after he had fallen asleep, exhausted and breathing softly, Amira sat on the corner of the bed and cried silently into her palms. She cried because she knew what she did could never be undone. She cried because she did not blame him. She blamed herself. She cried because she had nothing left that belonged only to her. And when she finally looked at him, asleep on her tiny bed, she whispered into the darkness, "I hope this didn't ruin my life." She did not know the truth waiting for her. She did not know how heavily the consequences would fall. She did not know that inside her, something new had already begun. A change no one would be able to stop. A life, a child, a future she never asked for, but could never escape. And the night that broke her heart was the same night that planted the seed of a story that would rewrite her destiny forever. She just did not know it yet. If you are feeling this story and you want to know what happens to Amira after this night, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notification so you will not miss the next chapter on Tales by We. Morning came too fast. The sun rose gently over Koi, casting golden lines across the rich compound, but none of that warmth entered the small servant room where Amira Delgado sat frozen at the edge of her bed. She had barely slept. Her eyes were still red from crying. Her throat felt tight. Her hands trembled slightly as she tried to tie her hair into a bun, but she kept stopping because her mind refused to calm down. She kept replaying the night over and over. She wished it had not happened. She wished she had been stronger. She wished she had pushed him out, closed the door, ignored the pain in his voice. But she had not. She had let pity guide her. She had let loneliness lead her. And now she felt heavier than she had ever felt in her whole life. He was gone when she woke. The side of the bed where he slept was still warm, and that made her chest twist painfully. She stared at her room, at the blanket, at her hands, and whispered, "What have I done? What did I do to myself?" She was still sitting there when she heard the familiar loud voice of Madame Gloria Mensa, Khalil's mother, echoing through the mansion as she gave instructions to staff. Amira felt chills run down her spine. Madame Gloria disliked most people, but she hated the staff more. To her, servants were nothing but dust. If she ever found out what happened, Amira knew her life would be destroyed forever. She forced herself up, washed her face with cold water, and went to begin her morning work. The mansion was quiet, the type of quiet that felt uncomfortable. The big chandeliers were off. The heavy marble floors were cold under her feet. Cookware clinked from the kitchen as the chef prepared breakfast. The driver polished a black SUV parked neatly under the shade. Everything looked normal on the outside, but inside her chest, nothing was normal anymore. She wiped the glass dining table slowly, her breath shaky. Her mind drifted to the night again. His red eyes, his trembling hands, his voice full of pain. The way he had looked at her, like she was the only lifeline he had left. She was angry at herself for responding to it. She was angry for feeling anything at all. Then she heard the sound that made her heart drop to her stomach. Footsteps. Slow, strong, familiar. He entered the dining room. She froze, her claw still in her hand. Her eyes lowered immediately. She did not know how to look at him. She did not know if he remembered everything clearly. She did not know if he felt guilty or ashamed or angry. She only knew that his presence made her chest tighten so hard she struggled to breathe. He stood a few feet away, watching her. He looked exhausted, like he had not slept, and his shirt was neatly tucked, his hair brushed, his tie straightened. The normal version of him, the powerful version, the one she worked for, the one she should never have touched. He cleared his throat lightly. "Good morning," he said quietly. His voice was gentle, softer than usual. She did not look at him. "Good morning, sir." A long silence followed. She wished he would leave. She wished the ground would open and swallow her. She wished the clocks would turn back, so she could put a pillow over her ears and pretend she did not hear his footsteps that night. Then he said, "About last night," her stomach dropped. She squeezed the cloth in her hand tightly. "You don't have to worry," he said. "I shouldn't have come to your room. I shouldn't have broken down like that. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable." She nodded, but her throat was too tight to speak. He took a soft breath. "I don't want you to think you did something wrong. I was the one who crossed the line. You were only trying to comfort me. I wasn't myself." She swallowed hard, still staring at the floor. "I won't mention it again," he added. "And I don't expect anything from you. You don't owe me anything. We can forget it happened." Forget. That one word felt like a knife. He could forget, but she couldn't. Not ever. She finally whispered, "Yes, sir." He stood there a moment longer, watching her with something that looked like guilt and confusion mixed together. She wished he would stop looking at her like that. She wished he would leave. She wished she could disappear. Finally, he walked out of the dining room. Her knees weakened, and she had to grip the edge of the table until her body calmed. The world felt too loud. Her heart felt too fragile. She was finishing the last plate when two of the other maids walked in, chatting loudly like usual. Zena, a tall Nigerian girl with big energy, noticed Amira first. Why your face be like this?" she asked. "Did you cry?" Amira forced a smile. "It's nothing. I'm just tired." Zena raised a brow. If not tiredness, your eye fanobi red like suya pepper." Before Mira could respond, another maid, Shanique from Jamaica, moved closer and studied her face like a detective. "This girl hiding something," Shanique said. "I feel it in my spirit." Amira shook her head quickly. "Nothing, I swear." But the way they looked at her made her heart beat too fast. She knew they would never guess the truth, but the idea of anyone suspecting anything made her terrified. Later in the afternoon, she felt a wave of nausea hit her. So suddenly she had to run to the bathroom. She held the sink tightly as her body trembled. She had been feeling small hints of sickness for days, but she pretended it was stress. Now the feeling was stronger. A heavy, cold fear crawled into her stomach. This cannot be what she thinks it is. It cannot be. It cannot be. It cannot be. She splashed cold water on her face and forced herself back to work. But as the hours passed, she noticed more. Her waist ached strangely. Her sense of smell became sharp. Her head felt light, and her mind kept whispering something she didn't want to think. "You haven't seen your period. It's late. It's late. It's late." She went to the staff bathroom, locked herself in, and counted days in her head. She had always been regular. Always. She never missed. But now she was late. Very, very late. Her hands shook. Her breathing grew difficult. Tears pooled in her eyes. "No," she whispered to herself. "Please, God, no." She sat on the closed toilet seat and pressed her forehead into her hands. Her chest felt like it was burning from inside. She couldn't tell anyone. She couldn't tell him. She couldn't tell the doctor. She couldn't tell the other maids. She was trapped inside her own body with a secret too heavy to carry. For the next few days, she avoided him completely. She entered rooms before he came. She left before he arrived. She bent her head any time he passed. But even though she hid, she could feel his eyes following her sometimes, especially when he thought she wasn't looking. It made everything worse. On the fourth morning after that night, she was cleaning the bookshelf in his study when she felt something heavy twist painfully in her stomach. She gasped softly and held the side of the table to steady herself. She heard a voice behind her. "You're not okay." She turned quickly and found him standing at the doorway. He wasn't angry. He wasn't distant. He looked concerned, deeply concerned. "I'm fine, sir," she whispered. "You're not." She shook her head. "It's nothing. Just tired." He stepped closer, slowly, carefully. "You've been avoiding me, and you looked sick these last few days. I'm not blind." Amira panicked. Her heart raced out of control. She stepped back, but he followed gently until she was standing beside the shelf, trapped in a corner with him only one step away. "Look at me," he said softly. She couldn't. She was too scared. Her secret felt too loud. He lifted his hand slowly, and for a moment she thought he would touch her chin and force her to raise her face. But he didn't. He let his hand fall back to his side. "You're trembling," he said. "Talk to me. Did I hurt you that night? Did I force you? Did I?" "No," she blurted out, finally looking up at him. "No, sir. You didn't force me. You didn't hurt me. I chose it." The relief that washed across his face hurt more than anything. "Then why are you acting like this?" he whispered. She felt her eyes burn. "Because I don't know how to live with what happened." He inhaled slowly. "Amira, we said we would forget. I don't want you to feel burdened. I don't want you to think I'm looking for anything from you. I'm not worried about that," she said weakly. "Then what is it?" Her lips parted, but no sound came out. She couldn't say the words. She couldn't break the last piece of normal she had left. She couldn't close the door to her old life completely. So she lied. "I just need time, sir," she whispered. He studied her face for a long moment, then nodded. "Take all the time you need." He stepped back slowly. Then he left the study, closing the door gently behind him. When the door shut, Amira collapsed to the floor, hugging herself tightly as a sob burst out of her chest. She felt like her whole world was spinning too fast, like she couldn't breathe, like she was drowning in a sea she didn't ask to fall into. And she whispered the words she feared most. "I think I'm pregnant." The room was silent. Her tears hit the floor. Her heart thudded painfully. The secret had a life of its own, growing inside her, growing louder every second. And she had no idea how to face the storm that was coming. The days that followed felt like walking inside a dream Amira could not wake up from. Every morning she woke up hoping her fear was wrong. Every evening she went to bed hoping the sharp twist in her stomach was just stress. Every hour she repeated the same prayer, silently. "Please let it be nothing. Please." But the fear inside her grew louder. She cleaned slower. She ate less. She drank water constantly because the nausea made her mouth dry. She avoided mirrors because her own eyes frightened her. They looked wider, more scared, more lost. The mansion was full of activity as always. Drivers washing the cars. The chef preparing meals. The security guards walking around the compound. Madame Gloria shouting instructions. Guests coming in and out. Everything stayed the same, but she didn't. Something inside her felt different, like she was carrying something heavy, like her chest was full of secrets too big for her small body. She tried to act normal. She tried to walk straight. She tried to smile at the other maids so they wouldn't suspect anything, but she felt like her whole world was turning into smoke. It wasn't until one afternoon, when she bent down to scrub the marble hallway floor, that everything changed. A wave of dizziness hit her, so hard she almost collapsed. She grabbed the wall fast, gasping softly, her vision blurring for a moment. Behind her, she heard someone gasp. "Girl, you good?" Shanique asked, rushing toward her. Amira forced a weak smile. "I'm fine, just tired." Shanique narrowed her eyes. "Tiredness don't make your face turn that pale." Before she could respond, Zena joined them. Amira, why you always day faint? You pregnant?" Amira froze. Her breath stopped. Her fingers tightened on the mop handle, so hard her knuckles whitened. Zena laughed jokingly. "Don't mind me, oh, I'm just playing." But Amira couldn't laugh. She couldn't breathe. She muttered something about needing air and hurried away, rushing down the hallway until she slipped into the laundry room. She closed the door behind her and leaned her back against it, pressing both palms over her stomach as if she could silence the secret growing there. She whispered, "I don't know what to do." That night, long after everyone slept, she sneaked quietly out of the servant quarters and into the backyard, where the security lights cast long, soft glows over the compound. She sat on one of the small stone benches and stared at the sky. Her mind kept repeating the same thought. 1 month. It had been 1 month since that night. 1 month of fear. 1 month of hiding. 1 month of pretending the world wasn't changing beneath her feet. She sat there hugging her knees, breathing slowly, when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned quickly. It was him. Khalil stood a few meters away, wearing a simple dark t-shirt and joggers, looking like a man carrying a weight he didn't know how to set down. "Why are you out here so late?" he asked softly. Amira looked away. "I couldn't sleep." He walked closer, slowly, cautiously. "You haven't been yourself for weeks. You're pale. You're tired. You look scared." He paused. "You've been avoiding me again." She swallowed hard. "I'm fine, sir." "You're not." His voice was steady but gentle. He wasn't angry. He wasn't accusing her. He was confused, worried, and somehow that made everything worse. He took another step forward, closing the distance between them. "You said you needed time," he murmured. "I gave you that. But whatever is happening now, you're suffering alone, and I don't want that." Her eyes filled with tears. She blinked quickly, but they slipped down her cheeks anyway. He moved closer, and his voice dropped to a whisper. "Amira, talk to me." She shook her head. "I can't." "You can." "No," she whispered, stepping back instinctively. "If I tell you, everything will change." His expression tightened, confusion and fear mixing. "Change how?" "Because I'm carrying something that belongs to you. Because I'm pregnant. Because my life is not mine anymore." But she couldn't say it. She couldn't take the words out of her mouth, because saying them would make them real. And once they were real, she would lose whatever small control she still had. When she didn't answer, he took a shaky breath and said something unexpected. "Did I take advantage of you that night?" Amira gasped. No, you didn't. You didn't force anything. I made my choice." "Then what are you scared of?" She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling the night breeze sting her skin. "Everything," she whispered. He moved slowly, carefully, as if afraid she might run. "Come sit," he said gently. She hesitated, but followed him to the stone bench. They sat side by side, their shoulders almost touching, but not quite. The silence hung heavily between them. He looked at her profile for a long moment. "Amira, I don't know what's going on in your mind, but I want you to understand something." His voice grew softer. "I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not your owner. I'm just someone who made a mistake in a moment of weakness." He paused, swallowing the guilt forming in his expression. "If you're afraid because of me, I'm sorry." His apology stabbed deep into her heart. She wasn't scared of him. She was scared of her future. She whispered, "I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of what is happening to me." His breath hitched slightly. "What is happening to you?" She shut her eyes tightly. Her lips trembled. Her fingers dug into her arms. He leaned closer. "Tell me." A tear slipped down her cheek. Then another, and another. He watched them fall, his expression shifting from confusion to fear. "Amira, please talk to me." She opened her mouth, but the words refused to form. Her voice broke into a small, painful whisper. "I miss my period." The world froze. He stared at her, his face blank for a long moment, as if trying to understand what she meant, as if hoping he misunderstood. She looked down at her trembling hands. "I've never missed it before." He inhaled sharply, sitting up straight. "And the nausea, the dizziness, the headaches." She swallowed painfully. "It's been getting worse." He closed his eyes for a moment. Then he whispered the word she had been terrified to say aloud. "You think you're pregnant." Her breath shook. She nodded slowly. He stared at her like someone pulled the ground from under his feet. His lips parted. His chest rose and fell too fast. He ran a hand over his face, trying to absorb the shock. "When did you find out?" he asked, voice tight. "I don't know. I've just been counting the days. And it's late. I'm late. Very late." Silence swallowed them whole. Finally he whispered, "Amira, why didn't you tell me?" She looked at him through tears. "How would I say it? How would I look at you and tell you something like this? How would I stand in front of you and say, I might be carrying your child? You're from a powerful family. You're rich. You're respected. And I'm—" She placed a hand on her chest. "I'm a maid." Her voice cracked as she continued. "People like us don't mix. People like you don't marry people like me. Your mother hates me. Your world would crush me. You know that." He stared at her with guilt spreading across his face like a shadow he couldn't hide from. He whispered her name softly. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know," she said quietly. "But that doesn't change what is happening." They fell silent again, the weight of the truth pressing on both of them. After a long moment, he finally spoke. "We need to confirm it. We need a real test." She shook her head quickly. "No hospital. No clinic. No doctor. If anyone finds out—" "No one will find out," he interrupted gently. "I'll take you somewhere private. Somewhere no one knows us." She shook her head harder, panicked. "No, sir. Please. I'm not ready." He reached out, but stopped himself before touching her arm. "Amira, you can't go through this alone." She wiped her face with shaky fingers. "I already am." His chest rose and fell sharply. He breathed deeply, calming himself before he spoke again. "If you are pregnant, we will handle it. Together." The word together made her flinch. She whispered, "You don't love me. You don't even see me that way. You were hurting that night. You didn't come to me because of me. You came because you were broken." Her voice trembled painfully. "And now I'm the one who might pay the price." He pressed his fingers into his forehead and whispered, "I know. I know. I know." His voice was full of regret. "But it doesn't matter what the reason was. If you're carrying my child, it's my responsibility." She shook her head weakly. "Your mother will kill me." "She won't touch you," he said firmly. "You can't stop her," she whispered back. He grew quiet, because deep down he knew she was right. Madame Gloria was a woman who valued power, social class, and bloodline more than anything. She would never accept a maid being connected to their family in any way. She would destroy Amira without hesitation. Khalil rubbed his chest as if something hurt inside. "We'll figure it out." She looked up at him slowly. For a brief moment, she saw fear in his eyes. Real fear, not for himself, but for her. He whispered, "Just tell me what you need me to do." She pressed her hand over her stomach again, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I need time," she whispered. "I need to think. I need to breathe." He nodded quietly. But inside his chest, a storm had started. And inside her body, something had already begun. A life neither of them expected. A future neither of them planned. A truth that would destroy everything around them. If you want to know what happens next, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notification, so you never miss the continuation of this emotional story right here on Tales by Wealth. The next morning arrived with a heavy stillness that settled over the mansion like a dark cloud. Amira moved quietly through the corridors, polishing the railings and dusting shelves, but her mind was far away, lost inside a storm of fear and confusion. Every step felt heavier. Every breath felt like she was trying to carry something bigger than her own body could bear. She wanted to hide, but she also knew hiding would not stop what was coming. Khalil stayed out of sight all morning. She heard his voice once on a phone call upstairs, low and serious, but she didn't dare go near. She didn't know what to say to him. She didn't even know how to stand near him without breaking into pieces. She just wanted one peaceful moment, 1 second of silence inside her head, but her thoughts kept racing. And then, like a nightmare she'd been trying to avoid, the sharp voice of Madame Gloria Mensa cut through the house. "Where's that girl? The one from Trinidad and Sierra Leone? The quiet one. Amira." Even the air seemed to freeze. The other maid stiffened. Zena quietly stepped aside. Shanique pretended to arrange cutlery. Everyone tried to look busy, because when Madame Gloria entered the room, the safest place to be was anywhere far from her. Amira lowered her head and stepped forward. "Yes, Ma, I'm here." Madame Gloria's heels clicked against the marble floor as she approached. She was dressed in a rich gold wrapper with heavy jewelry, her hair perfectly styled, her eyes cold and sharp like glass. She didn't walk. She glided with the confidence of a woman who believed the world belonged to her. She stopped directly in front of Amira, looking her up and down slowly, like she was inspecting an object, not a human being. "I've been watching you," Madame Gloria said. "You've been acting strange these days, walking slowly, moving like you're carrying a secret on your head." She narrowed her eyes. "What is wrong with you?" Amira's heart pounded. "Nothing, Ma. I'm just tired." "Tired?" Madame Gloria scoffed. "At your age? What exactly are you doing that should make you tired? Do you scrub this house with your eyelashes?" A few maids hid their smiles. They knew better than to laugh aloud. "No, Ma," Amira whispered. "Good," Madame Gloria said sharply, "because the last thing I want is lazy staff in my house. My son already has enough useless people around him. He doesn't need one more." Her words felt like a slap, but Amira stayed silent. She had learned long ago that silence was her only shield. Then Madame Gloria's eyes narrowed even further. "You look pale," she said. "Are you sick?" "No, Ma." "You're lying." Madame Gloria stepped closer, invading her space. "Your eyes are red. Your face is swollen. Your steps are slow. You think I don't see everything in this house?" Amira held her breath. Then Madame Gloria said the one thing that nearly ripped the ground from under her feet. "Are you sleeping with anyone here?" Zena coughed. Shanique gasped quietly. One guard standing near the door stiffened. Amira's heart stopped. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. "I asked you a question," Madame Gloria repeated coldly. "Are you sleeping with anyone in my compound?" "No, Ma." Amira finally managed to say, "No, Ma, never." Madame Gloria eyed her suspiciously. "If I find out any foolishness is happening under my roof, you will regret the day you entered this place. Do you understand?" "Yes, Ma," Amira whispered. Madame Gloria stepped back and waved her hand dismissively. "I don't believe you. Something about you feels off. I will find out what it is." Then she turned and walked away, her wrapper swaying behind her like a warning. As soon as she left, Shanique placed a hand on her chest dramatically. "Girl, you almost get heart attack just now." Zena whispered, "Amira, whatever you day hide, pray make Madam no catch you, oh. That woman no get joy." Amira didn't respond. She rushed to the back garden, away from everyone, her heart beating so fast she felt dizzy. She sat on a small patch of grass and hugged her knees. Madame Gloria had always disliked her, but this was different. This time, she was watching. This time, she suspected something. This time, if she found the truth, Amira whispered into her palms, "God, please protect me. Please." Her fear grew even worse later in the day. She was sweeping the guest lounge when she heard two voices down the hall, Madame Gloria's and her son's. Curiosity made her freeze. "We need to talk," Madame Gloria said. "What is it, Mother?" Khalil replied, sounding tired already. "That maid," Madame Gloria said. "The quiet mixed one. Something is wrong with her." Amira felt her breath stop. "What do you mean?" Khalil asked carefully. "I mean, she's behaving like a woman hiding something. She's pale. She's weak. She's moving slowly. She looks guilty. And I do not trust guilty people." Silence followed. A long, heavy silence. Then Madame Gloria continued, her voice low and sharp. "I want her out of this house." Amira's knees nearly buckled. "Mother," Khalil began. "No." Madame Gloria snapped. "She is not normal. She's hiding something. And women hiding things are dangerous. I don't want her anywhere near this family. I don't want her touching anything that belongs to us. I want her gone." Khalil's voice grew tense. "You can't just throw someone out for no reason." "I don't need a reason," Madame Gloria replied. "This is my house, and I decide who stays and who goes." "It's not just your house," he said firmly. "I own half of it. And I own the other half," she shot back. "And as long as my name is on the papers, I will not allow that girl to breathe our air." Amira pressed a hand over her mouth, tears filling her eyes. Then Madame Gloria said the thing she feared most. "She looks pregnant." Silence. Total, suffocating silence. Amira's heart felt like it would fall out of her chest. Khalil finally spoke, voice shaky. What makes you say that?" Madame Gloria scoffed. "I have eyes, Khalil. I carried children. I know what it looks like. The slow walk, the tired face, the swollen eyes, the way she holds her stomach sometimes. Don't argue with me. I know when a girl is carrying something." Khalil said nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that silence scared Amira more than anything. Madame Gloria continued. "I don't know who she's been sleeping with, but whoever it is, they can come and take her. She must leave." "I'll handle it," Khalil finally said. "You better," his mother replied sharply, "before she embarrasses this family." Footsteps moved away. The conversation ended. But Amira felt like her soul had left her body. She dropped the broom. Tears streamed down her face. She sank slowly to the floor, leaning against the wall, covering her mouth to keep from sobbing loudly. She whispered, "She knows. Oh, God, she knows." She didn't know how long she sat there. Minutes felt like hours. Her whole body shook. Her stomach tightened painfully, half from fear, half from stress. Eventually, she felt a gentle hand touch her shoulder. She gasped and looked up. It was Khalil. His face was full of worry. He crouched down beside her slowly. "You heard?" She nodded weakly. He let out a long breath, sitting beside her on the floor. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I'm so sorry." She wiped her eyes. "She wants me out. I won't let her throw you out." "You can't stop her," she whispered. You saw how she spoke. She controls everything in this house. He closed his eyes. "I know." She hugged her knees tighter. "If she finds out I'm pregnant, I don't know what she'll do to me." He swallowed hard. "I won't let her touch you." "You can't protect me," she whispered. "Not from her, not from this family, not from this world." He looked at her with pain in his eyes. "I can try." She shook her head. "Trying isn't enough." He slowly reached for her hand, but stopped halfway, unsure she wanted him to. After a moment, she placed her trembling fingers in his palm. He held them gently. "Listen," he whispered. "We will figure this out. But you need to stop carrying this alone. We need to confirm the pregnancy. And then we make a plan." Her voice barely came out. "What plan?" "I don't know yet. But I promise you, I won't abandon you." She looked at him through tears. "Not even if the child is real?" He nodded slowly. "Not even then." A tear rolled down her cheek. "Your mother hates me." "Then she will have to deal with her hate," he whispered. She shook her head. "If she pushes me out today, I have nowhere to go." "You won't leave," he said firmly. "How will you stop her?" she whispered. He inhaled deeply, then spoke with a quiet strength she had never heard before. "Because you and I are connected now, and I'm not letting anyone break that." She cried again, silently, weakly. He stayed beside her until her breathing calmed. But deep down she knew something. Madame Gloria wasn't done. In fact, she was only just beginning, and the storm that was coming would be bigger than anything Amira had ever survived. Chapter 5. She leaves a mansion. The next morning began with a heaviness that filled the entire house. It felt like the walls were holding their breath. Even the air seemed tighter, like something was about to break. Amira woke up with her heart pounding again, her stomach twisting with fear. She sat on her bed slowly, holding her belly without thinking, then snatched her hand away quickly, afraid someone might walk in and see her doing it. She washed her face, tied her hair, and went straight to her morning tasks. But she already knew something was wrong. The mansion was too quiet. The staff were moving faster than usual. People whispered instead of talking. Something was coming. She could feel it deep in her bones. And she was right. At exactly 9 in the morning, Madame Gloria's voice thundered through the house like a storm. "Call that girl. Call her right now." The entire mansion froze. No one needed to ask which girl she meant. No one needed to check. Everyone turned their heads toward Amira at the same time. Her pulse raced. Her palms grew sweaty. Her legs felt weak. Shanique whispered under her breath, "Girl, something bad coming." Zena touched her arm gently. "Be strong." Amira nodded slowly, but the fear crawling through her chest made it hard to breathe. She followed one of the guards to the main lounge where Madame Gloria sat like a queen on her throne. The older woman was dressed in a bright red lace outfit with expensive jewelry that sparkled harshly under the chandelier lights. She was angry, so angry that even the air felt hot around her. Khalil stood by the window with his arms crossed, jaw tight, eyes dark with tension. "Come here," Madame Gloria barked. Amira stepped forward like she was walking into fire. Madame Gloria looked her up and down sharply. "I told you yesterday that I didn't trust you. And now, after thinking about it all night," she paused, leaning forward, "I want you out of this house." The words hit Amira like a stone to the chest. She blinked in shock. "Ma, please, what did I do?" Madame Gloria scoffed. "You exist. That is enough." Her voice dripped with hatred, and the other staff pretended not to hear, pretended to clean or stand still, because no one dared intervene. Amira's voice trembled. "Ma, please, I haven't broken any rules. I work hard. I don't cause trouble. Madame Gloria slammed her hand on the table. "I am not interested in your tears or excuses. You are hiding something, and I don't want secretive, weak, suspicious girls around my family." Khalil stepped forward. "Mother, this is unfair." "Do not speak," she snapped. "This is my home. I will not have a girl from nowhere polluting the air I breathe." Amira's lips parted in shock. "Nah, I have nowhere to go." "That is not my problem," Madame Gloria replied coldly. Amira turned to Khalil instinctively, eyes begging for help. His mother noticed. "Oh," Madame Gloria said sharply. "So this is why you're emotional. Because you think my son will rescue you." She smirked cruelly. "Look at me very well. That will never happen." Khalil clenched his jaw. "Mother," she raised her hand. "Quiet." He fell silent, but his hands shook. Madame Gloria continued, "Pack your things. You have 1 hour to leave this compound. If I see you after that, I will call security to drag you out myself." The humiliation was too sharp, too public, too painful. Tears streamed down Amira's cheeks. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, to beg for mercy, but her throat closed tightly, refusing to let any sound out. She whispered, "Yes, Ma." And that was the moment she realized she had lost. Not because she was wrong, but because she was powerless. She turned and walked away slowly, tears blurring her vision. Her legs shook, but she kept walking, step by step, even though it felt like each step was ripping her life apart. As soon as she reached the hallway, She collapsed against the wall, covering her face with both hands as sobs tore through her chest. The other maids rushed to her. "Amira, no cry like this," Shanique begged, rubbing her back. "Madam Wicked," Zena hissed. "She no get hard." But Amira hardly heard them. Her mind was spinning. Her chest hurt. Her stomach twisted. She felt like a child being thrown into the street. Shanique whispered, "Where you go now?" Amira shook her head helplessly. "I don't know. I don't have anybody." "Call your family," Zena said softly. "I can't," Amira whispered. "My mother is sick. They depend on the money from here. If I leave, they will suffer." Her world was falling apart in slow motion. She went to her small servant room and packed her few belongings. Her toothbrush, 2 dresses, 1 old slippers, and a tiny purse. That was all she owned. Her whole life fit into 1 small nylon bag. As she folded her clothes, she pressed a hand over her lower belly again, trying not to break. The truth she hadn't confirmed yet was still burning inside her. A child, a secret, a future she wasn't ready for. She cried silently as she packed. Her tears fell on her clothes, making small wet circles that disappeared quickly. When she finished, she stood in the center of the tiny room and looked around. This room wasn't beautiful. It wasn't comfortable, but it was the closest thing she had to safety. And now, even that was gone. She wiped her face and whispered, "I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to bring you into this." Just then, the door opened. Khalil stood there. He looked broken. His eyes were glassy, his hair slightly messy, and his chest rose and fell heavily. He stared at her small bag, his face tightening with guilt. "You're leaving," he said quietly. She nodded. "Your mother asked me to. She can't throw you out like this." "She already did." He stepped inside slowly. "Amira, please wait. Let me talk to her again. Let me calm her down. Give me time." She shook her head. "It won't change anything. She hates me. She thinks I'm a problem." "You're not a problem," he said, voice cracking. "I'm the problem. I'm the one who—" "Please don't say it," she whispered. He took a deep breath. "Let me help you." "No," she said softly. "If she sees you helping me, she will know. And if she knows, she will destroy us both." "I don't care," he whispered. "I do," she said firmly. "I need to protect what is inside me. Even if you don't love me, even if you never wanted this, I still need to protect it." He stared at her stomach unconsciously, eyes filling with something she couldn't identify. Fear, guilt, shock, maybe even a little tenderness. But he masked it instantly. "I'm not letting you leave like this," he said. "You don't have a choice," she replied gently. "This is your mother's world, not mine." He ran a hand over his face. "Let me give you money. Something to help you start somewhere else." She shook her head. "No. Amira, don't do this. Don't push me away." "You're not mine," she whispered. "I don't have a right to take anything from you." He stepped closer, voice low and desperate. "You have every right. You're carrying." She quickly placed her hand on his chest and whispered, "Please, don't say it where someone can hear." He swallowed hard. She continued in a shaky whisper, "Let me go before she comes back and destroys both of us." His hands clenched into fists. "I failed you." "No," she whispered. "We both failed ourselves." She picked up her small bag and walked past him slowly. He tried to reach for her arm, but he stopped himself, because touching her would make everything worse. She stopped at the doorway and whispered, "Goodbye, sir." And then she walked away, step by step, down the hallway, through the back door, out of the mansion, away from the only place she knew in Lagos. The gates closed behind her, and with that sound, that heavy final metal clank, her old life ended. She stood outside on the road, holding her small nylon bag, staring at the world with tears streaming silently down her face. She was alone, pregnant, homeless, afraid, and she didn't even know where her next meal would come from. But somewhere inside her, a tiny heartbeat she had not yet heard was waiting for her to survive. And so she wiped her tears lifted her bag, and took her first step into a future she never imagined. The sky was already turning orange when Amira left the mansion gates behind her. She clutched her small nylon bag tightly, her heart aching with each step she took away from the only place she had known since coming to Lagos. She kept walking without looking back. She could still feel the weight of Madame Gloria's voice in her ears, the humiliation burning inside her like fire. She crossed the street and reached the bus stop, but she did not even know where she was going. She just kept standing there, trembling slightly, fighting tears that kept falling no matter how many times she wiped them away. The city around her moved fast. Cars honked, motorcycle riders shouted, buses screeched as they stopped to pick passengers. People argued, laughed, rushed past her. Everyone was living their own lives. No one cared about the young maid with swollen eyes, standing alone with her small bag. She had never felt so invisible, and yet so exposed at the same time. She stood there for almost 20 minutes before she forced herself to move. She knew she couldn't stay in a koi. Everything here was too expensive. She needed somewhere cheap, somewhere nobody knew her, somewhere she could hide while she figured out what to do with her life. She climbed into a danfo heading toward Oshodi and prayed she had enough money to survive the next few days. Her chest tightened painfully as the bus rattled along the expressway. She looked out the window, watching the tall buildings fade into older neighborhoods, watching wealth fade into struggle. When the bus stopped at Oshodi, she got down and walked aimlessly until she found herself in a crowded area filled with small shops and noisy traders. She asked a food seller for directions to the cheapest lodge around. The woman looked at her suspiciously. "You dey find cheap room? Wouldn't happen? You run from your madam." Amira swallowed, her eyes dropping. "I just need somewhere to stay." The woman pointed toward a narrow street. "Go that side. You go see old compound way dey rent single room. No be fine place, oh." "Thank you, ma," Amira whispered. She walked down the dusty street until she reached a rusty gate leading into an old, cracked building. The walls were stained with rainwater, the ground uneven, and the air smelled slightly of dampness. It wasn't clean. It wasn't safe. But it was cheap. The caretaker was a thin, elderly man with tired eyes. He asked no questions, just collected her small payment and gave her a room key. The room was tiny, dark, and hot. The ceiling fan didn't work. The single narrow bed sagged in the middle. The window was cracked, and the door didn't close properly. But she sat on the edge of the bed and let out a long, shaky breath. This was home now. She placed her small bag beside her and hugged herself tightly. The silence in the room was heavy, but she forced herself to breathe through it. She lifted her hand and placed it gently on her lower stomach again. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I will try to protect you." The next morning began with hunger. She had no food. She had no job. She had very little money. And she had a baby inside her, or something she feared might be a baby. She stood outside the compound and watched Lagos wake up around her. Street vendors shouted prices. Loud music blasted from a shop nearby. Women selling fruit arranged oranges in baskets. Men pushed wheelbarrows filled with goods. Life moved, whether she was ready or not. She had no choice but to move with it. She walked toward the main road, her heart beating faster with every step. She looked for job signs in restaurant windows, cleaning gigs in small offices, anything she could do. But every time she spoke, people shook their heads. "No vacancy. We don't need staff. We are not hiring now." Some didn't even look at her. They just waved her away. By noon, she was exhausted. Sweat coated her forehead. Her legs ached. Her throat felt dry. She sat beside a small shop and tried to gather strength. She didn't know how long she sat there before a middle-aged woman selling puff-puff called to her. "You dey hungry?" Amira blinked. "Yes, ma, but I don't have—" "I no ask for your money," the woman said gently. "Take one." Amira hesitated, then took the small warm puff-puff, whispering, "Thank you, ma." The woman nodded. "God go help you." Those 4 words made her eyes fill with tears. She kept searching for work the rest of the day, but still found nothing. When evening came, she walked back toward the old compound, her steps slower, her soul heavier. She felt like she had aged years in a single day. Inside her room, she sat on the bed, holding her stomach again. She whispered, "How will I take care of you? I don't even know how to take care of myself." Her thoughts drifted to Khalil, not the powerful boss version of him, but the broken man who came to her room, who begged not to be alone, who held her hand in the backyard, who promised he wouldn't abandon her. A small part of her missed the kindness he tried to show her in private, but she quickly pushed the thought away. That was his world. This was hers. She cried again that night. Silent tears. Soft sobs. She tried to sleep, but she kept waking up with fear gripping her chest. The next morning, she forced herself out of bed and went to the market area again. This time she walked into a small cleaning agency office. The man behind the desk barely looked up. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. He kept writing. "What do you want?" "I'm looking for a cleaning job, sir." He glanced at her briefly. "Experience?" "Yes, sir. I worked in a mansion for almost a year." He dropped his pen. "You worked in those rich people places?" "Yes, sir." He looked at her again, this time more interested. "You fit work for office cleaning? Evenings and weekends?" "Yes, sir. I can." "Okay. Salary no big O, but at least you go survive." She nodded quickly. "I'll take it, sir." He gave her a form and told her to start the next day. She walked out with tears in her eyes again, but this time they were tears of relief. She had a job, a small job, a hard job, but a job, something to hold on to, something to start with. Her new life began the following day. She cleaned offices for hours, mopping floors, wiping desks, cleaning bathrooms, emptying trash bags. Her hands hurt, her back ached, her legs burned. Sometimes she had to stop and breathe because the dizziness returned, but she kept going. She reminded herself what she was fighting for. Every naira she earned went straight into her small purse. She bought only the cheapest food, bread, water, Gary. She didn't buy new clothes. She didn't buy anything unnecessary. She saved every small bit she could. But the sickness didn't stop. Almost every morning she woke with nausea that forced her to kneel beside a bucket. Her back hurt. Her belly felt tender. Her appetite came and went. She didn't need a test anymore. Her body was already telling her the truth. She was pregnant. She tried to be calm, but one night she broke completely. She sat on the edge of her small bed, hugging her stomach, crying softly. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I don't know how to be a mother. I don't even know where your father is now. I don't know how to survive. But please, please stay with me." She wanted to tell him. She wanted to hear his voice. She wanted him to know. But she also feared what would happen if she went near that mansion again. She feared Madame Gloria. She feared being dragged out. She feared being insulted again. She feared losing everything she still had left. A week passed, then another, and each day she carried her belly carefully, even though there was no visible bump yet. But she could feel it. She could feel the life forming. She could feel the bond tightening. One evening, as she walked home from work, tired but still pushing forward, she felt a warm hand wrap around her arm. She turned quickly, fear rushing through her chest, and her breath left her completely. It was him, Khalil. He stood there on the dusty road, wearing a simple black shirt, no bodyguards, no driver, no fancy car, just him. He looked at her with eyes full of worry, relief, and a pain he had been carrying for weeks. He whispered, "I've been looking for you everywhere." Her heart broke again, not because he found her, but because she realized how much he still cared despite everything. She stepped back weakly. "What are you doing here?" He swallowed hard. "Trying to fix what I ruined." Her eyes filled with tears instantly. He continued, his voice trembling. "You disappeared. You didn't take my calls. You didn't take my messages. I didn't know if you were safe. I didn't know if you had eaten. I didn't know if you—" "Stop," she whispered, shaking. "I can't," he said quietly. "I can't stop worrying." She looked at him with wounded eyes. "Your mother threw me out." "I know, and I fought with her every single day since then. Did it change anything?" "No," he admitted sadly. She's worse now. She's suspicious. She's angry. She's desperate to control everything. Amira's voice cracked. That's why I left. That's why I stayed away. He stepped closer. I have to know, are you pregnant? Her breath trembled. She hesitated. Then placed her hand over her stomach. That tiny gesture answered everything. Khalil's face softened, then tightened, then broke completely. He whispered, "Oh, God, Amira." She stepped back quickly. Don't come closer. Please." "Why?" "Because if you touch me, my heart will break again." He swallowed. "Let me take you home. Let me take care of you. Let me do something." "This is my home now," she said quietly. "You deserve better." "I deserve peace," she whispered. "And your world will never let me have that." He closed his eyes painfully. "Amira, please let me help." "You can't," she said. "Not without destroying yourself." He shook his head. "You think I care about myself right now?" "You should," she replied. They stared at each other in silence. Two people connected by a mistake, bonded by a child, but separated by a world that refused to let them exist together. She whispered, "Please, let me survive quietly." And with tears in his eyes, he whispered back, "I can't let you survive alone." The air between them stayed still for a long moment, heavy with emotions neither of them knew how to manage. Cars passed on the dusty Lagos road, horns honking, street sellers shouting, children running, life moving at its usual loud pace. But all Amira could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Her throat felt tight. Her palms were sweaty. Her eyes kept darting to the side like she wanted to run, but her legs refused to move. Khalil stood only a few steps away from her, breathing hard, his chest rising and falling unevenly. He looked different from a man she remembered inside the mansion, less polished, less controlled, less perfect. He looked human, scared, lost, but determined. He reached out again, slower this time, his hand trembling slightly. "Please don't walk away from me." Amira wiped her eyes quickly and whispered, "You shouldn't be here." "I know," he said softly, "but I couldn't stay away." She swallowed hard. "Your mother will think something. People will talk. Someone might see." "I don't care about any of them right now," he replied. "I care about you." The words landed like a blow to her chest. She shook her head weakly. "Don't say that. Please." "Why not?" he asked, voice breaking. "Because it's not true," she whispered. He stepped closer. "It is true." "No," she said again, taking a tiny step back. "You don't care about me. You care about what you think you owe me. That night wasn't love. It was pain. You were hurting. I was trying to help. We made a mistake." His jaw tightened. A mistake that created a life. Her hand went instinctively to her stomach. She closed her eyes, tears spilling again. "Don't say it like that. Please." He paused, breathing slowly as if trying to choose his words carefully. "Amira, do you really think I haven't thought about you every single day since you left? You think I sleep at night? You think my life is normal?" She stared at him silently. He ran a hand through his hair. "I wake up thinking of you. I go to bed thinking of you. I avoid my house because every corner reminds me of you. I fight with my mother every morning because she wants to erase you." Her lips trembled. "Don't say these things." "I have to," he whispered, "because if I don't say them now, I'll lose you forever." A tear slid down her cheek. She wiped it quickly and whispered, "I'm already lost." "No, you're not," he said. "You just ran. You're scared." "How can I not be scared?" she asked, her voice finally rising. "Your mother hates me. She hates everything about me. She made me feel worthless. She threw me out like garbage. And you." She stopped herself, chest shaking. "And me what?" he asked gently. She looked at him with wounded eyes. "You let her." He froze. Amira's voice cracked. "You stood there, in the room. You watched her call me names. You watched her shame me. And you didn't stop her. You didn't defend me. You didn't even speak until she finished." "She would have hurt you more," he said softly. "You know how she is." "No," she whispered. She hurt me because no one stopped her, because no one tells her no, not even you. He closed his eyes like the words had sliced him open. I'm sorry, he whispered. I was wrong. I should have defended you. I should have fought harder. It's too late, she said quietly. I'm already gone. He took a step closer again. Then let me bring you back. She shook her head fiercely. No, I'm not going back to that house. I'm not asking you to, he said. I'm asking you to let me in. Even a little. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering slightly though the evening breeze was warm. You don't understand. My life is different now. Your world is full of wealth, power, expectations. Mine is full of fear and survival. We can't mix again. We shouldn't. He listened quietly, then said in a low voice, You're carrying my child. The words came out gently, but they shattered her like glass. She turned away, tears falling freely now. Yes, she whispered. I am. He moved closer and stood behind her, not touching her, just breathing softly beside her ear. Then let me be in the child's life. Let me support you. Let me protect you. You can't protect me, she whispered. You can't protect us. Why not? Because your mother will never let you choose me. He took a deep breath. Then I'll stop letting her choose for me. She turned fast, shocked. What? He met her eyes, steady, serious, determined. I'm done letting her control my life. You say that now, she whispered. But when she fights you, when she threatens you, you'll choose peace over me. His voice softened. I'm already losing you. Peace left a long time ago. She covered her mouth with her hand as she cried again, overwhelmed and confused. Please stop. I can't hear this. You need to, he said quietly, because it's the truth. She shook her head. No, your truth is painful. Love is painful, he said. Her breath caught. Love. He nodded. Yes. She stepped back instantly. Don't say that. Don't play with my heart. Don't say something you don't mean. I mean it, he said firmly. I love you. She froze like her entire body had been turned into stone. No, she whispered. You don't. I do, he insisted. I didn't realize it at first. I was confused. I was hurting. But I know it now. I love you. Her tears fell harder. She shook her head violently. No, you can't. You're lying. I'm not. Stop, she begged. Please stop. He took another step closer, slowly, carefully, like he was approaching something fragile and powerful at the same time. I love you, he said again. Not out of guilt, not out of pity, not because of the baby. I love you because you were the only person who saw me when I was broken. You were the only one who stayed with me when I felt like I had nothing. You're strong, kind, patient, gentle, and everything I didn't know I needed. She covered her ears. Stop. He moved her hands gently down. Look at me. She refused. So he said it again, softer this time, like a promise he couldn't break. I love you. She broke. Her sobs burst out uncontrollably. She staggered back, holding her stomach, overwhelmed by feelings she didn't know how to face. She cried like a child, like someone who had held in too much for too long. He moved fast and caught her before she fell. His arms wrapped around her, supporting her shaking body. She pressed her face against his chest, crying till her throat ached. He held her gently, carefully, like she was something precious and fragile. Minutes passed before she found her voice again. You shouldn't love me, she whispered weakly. I can't help it, he said. You shouldn't choose me, she said. I already did. She trembled. Your mother will never accept me. She doesn't need to, but she will ruin everything. Then let her try, he said calmly. I'm not choosing my mother this time. I'm choosing you. A long silence fell between them as she processed his words. He slowly pulled back just enough to cup her face. His thumb wiped her tears gently. Just give me a chance, he whispered. A chance to be there. A chance to protect you. A chance to love you. She looked at him long and hard, breathing shakily, unsure, scared, overwhelmed. I don't know how to trust you, she whispered. Then let me earn it. I don't know how to believe you. Then let me prove it. I don't know how to let you stay. Then let me fight my way in. Her heart squeezed painfully. She whispered, "What about the baby?" He placed his hand gently over hers on her stomach. "That's my child, and I will love that child with everything in me." Her tears fell again. He whispered, "Let me be a father." Her legs trembled. He whispered again, "Let me be yours." And for the first time since she left the mansion, for the first time since she found out she was pregnant, for the first time since her heart broke, she let herself hope, just a little, just enough for her to whisper, "I'm scared." "I know," he replied softly, "but I'm scared too." "Then what do we do?" she asked. He held her hands and whispered, "We start again." As simple as that, as complicated as that. They stood there, holding each other in the middle of the road, surrounded by noise, dust, and people who didn't care. But it didn't matter. The world around them felt small. Their fears felt huge. Their connection felt impossible. But their hearts, against all logic, were beginning to align. And Amira, for the first time in many weeks, felt something she had lost completely: hope. After that day on the dusty Lagos road, life changed slowly, almost like the world was trying to mend itself piece by piece. Khalil did not disappear again. He didn't vanish into silence or hide behind guilt. He kept his promise. Every day after work, he found a way to check on Amira. Sometimes he came to the compound where she stayed, standing under the broken streetlight with hands in his pockets. Sometimes he walked her home from her cleaning job, keeping a careful distance so people wouldn't assume anything dangerous. Sometimes he simply sent food to the caretaker with no note, so she wouldn't refuse it. And sometimes, when she was too sick to get out of bed, he sat quietly on the old plastic chair in her room, gently rubbing her back while she breathed through waves of nausea. He didn't force conversations. He didn't pressure her. He didn't make promises he couldn't keep. He was simply there. And that quiet presence began to heal her heart little by little. Still, they both knew something was coming. Something big. Because Madame Gloria was getting suspicious. She noticed he wasn't home. She noticed he didn't attend meetings. She noticed he spent long hours away. She felt something was happening behind her back, and she hated not knowing. One evening, around Amira's 4th month of pregnancy, Khalil received a message from his mother that made his heart drop. "We need to talk." Now, he sighed deeply, knowing a storm was coming. But this time, he was ready to face it. Meanwhile, Amira sat on her small bed in her tiny room, staring at her growing belly with a mixture of fear and love. She had never expected to carry a child alone. She had never expected a future this uncertain. But when she placed her hand on her belly and felt a small flutter inside, something broke open in her chest. Something warm, something strong, something like hope. She whispered, "I will protect you, no matter what." Her voice was soft, but the promise was solid as stone. She didn't know Khalil was making a promise of his own at the same time. He walked into the mansion that night, shoulders squared, chest tight, determination burning through him. Madame Gloria was waiting. The living room lights were bright, too bright, illuminating the anger on her face. She wore a heavy gold wrapper and sat stiffly on the couch, tapping her fingers on the armrest. "Where exactly have you been hiding?" she asked coldly. Khalil didn't flinch. "I've been thinking." "About what?" "My life." She scoffed. "Your life was planned for you. You don't need to think." He shook his head. "That's exactly why I need to." "What foolishness are you talking now?" she snapped. "There's something you need to know," he said calmly. Madame Gloria narrowed her eyes. "What nonsense is this?" He took a breath. "Amira is pregnant." The silence that followed was deadly. Every muscle in Madame Gloria's body tightened. Her chest rose sharply. Her eyes widened, then narrowed into dangerous slits. "What did you just say?" she whispered. "She's carrying my child." Madame Gloria stood slowly, her wrapper swaying like a warning flag. Her lips trembled with rage. "You impregnated that girl? That maid? That nothing?" Khalil remained calm. "She's not nothing. She tricked you. She used you. She planned this. She didn't plan anything. She is filth. Madame Gloria screamed. She dirted our name. You must get rid of her and that thing she is carrying. Khalil stepped back as if struck. Mother, don't ever speak like that again. That child is innocent. No child of yours will come from a housemaid, she hissed. I refuse it. You don't have a say. I have every say, she shouted. This family is built on power and class. You will not tarnish it because of some street girl. Her name, he said firmly, is Amira. I don't care about her name. Madame Gloria roared. She leaves the city today, or I will make her disappear myself. Khalil's heart dropped. This was worse than he feared. He raised his voice for the first time. Mother, listen. But she pointed a shaking finger at him. If you try to save her, if you dare bring her into this family, I swear on everything I have, I will cut you off. I will take your inheritance. I will take your shares. I will destroy everything you have. He stared at her, chest heaving, eyes burning with disbelief. You would destroy your son, he whispered, because he fell in love? She froze. Her eyes widened. Her mouth fell open slightly. You love her, she said, stunned. Yes, Khalil said quietly. I love her, and I love our child. The world seemed to stop. Madame Gloria's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Then you are no son of mine. Khalil closed his eyes, pain ripping through him. But he did not step back. Then that is your choice, he said softly. Not mine. He turned and walked away, leaving his mother shaking with rage. Meanwhile, across the city, Amira sat on her bed, eating Gary slowly, feeling her baby kick for the first time. Her eyes widened in shock. She pressed her hand to her stomach again, and another small flutter greeted her. She gasped softly. Then she cried, not out of fear, but out of love. She whispered, You're real, you're alive, and you're fighting. Her tears dripped onto her hands as she rubbed her belly gently. You're my miracle, she whispered. The next morning, Khalil returned to her small room, looking exhausted but more certain than ever. She opened the door and froze when she saw him, sweaty, tired, but determined. Khalil, she whispered. He took her hand gently. We're done hiding. My mother knows. Her heart dropped. What did she say? Everything she shouldn't, he replied softly. But it doesn't matter. I'm choosing you. She stepped back in shock. No, you can't. She will destroy you. Let her try, he said. I'm not leaving my child. And I'm not leaving you. She covered her mouth with her hand as tears filled her eyes. He stepped closer and placed his palm on her belly. Let me take care of you. Let me protect both of you. She finally whispered, voice breaking, I don't deserve this. Yes, you do, he whispered back. You deserve love. You deserve safety. You deserve peace. Her tears fell fast and heavy now. My mother said something, he added. Something that made me realize how far I'm willing to go. What? She said I wasn't her son anymore if I chose you. Amira gasped as fresh tears poured down her cheeks. I'm so sorry. He touched her cheek. Don't apologize. I've never felt more like myself. She collapsed into his arms, crying into his chest as he held her gently. From that day, he became her shield. He moved her out of the old compound immediately and into a safer, cleaner apartment far from Akoi. He bought her groceries. He arranged private prenatal checkups. He stayed with her through morning sickness, back pain, swollen ankles, tears, and fears. He held her hand during every doctor's appointment. He talked to the baby through her belly. He apologized every night for the pain she was carrying. And slowly, truly, deeply, she began to trust him. As her bump grew, their bond grew. As the baby kicked, their love deepened. As her due date approached, their fear faded. But Madame Gloria wasn't done. The night labor started. Amira woke with sharp pain. She called Khalil in panic. He rushed to her apartment in minutes, scooping her into his arms and rushing her to a private hospital. She squeezed his hand as waves of pain ripped through her. Breathe, Amira, he whispered. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Hours passed. Screams. Sweat. Tears. pain, but he never let go of her hand. Finally, a cry filled the room. A strong, loud, perfect cry. A nurse placed a small, warm baby on Amira's chest. She looked down at the tiny face, the small fingers, the soft hair, the trembling lips, and she broke into a sob of joy. "My baby," she whispered. "My beautiful baby." Khalil kissed her forehead, tears falling freely. "Thank you. Thank you for giving me a family." She leaned her head against his, overwhelmed with love. Outside the hospital, another storm waited, because Madame Gloria arrived. She marched into the ward with fury and stopped cold when she saw her son holding a tiny newborn, her face twisted. "So it's true." Khalil looked at his mother, then at Amira, then at his child. "Yes," he said softly. "This is my family now." Madame Gloria opened her mouth to speak, but when she looked at the newborn again, something inside her cracked. Her lip trembled, her breath hitched. The baby stretched a tiny hand toward her, and the unthinkable happened. Madame Gloria burst into tears. Real tears. Human tears. She placed a shaking hand over her mouth and whispered, he looks just like his father." Khalil stepped closer. "Mother, please." She collapsed into a chair, crying softly. "I didn't want to lose you. I thought she was taking you away." Amira held her baby tightly, unsure what to say. Khalil walked to his mother and knelt beside her. "Nobody is taking me away, but I'm choosing a life where love matters more than class." Madame Gloria covered her face. "I was wrong." She looked at Amira, really looked, for the first time. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice cracking. Amira's eyes filled with tears. She nodded slowly. The baby cried softly, as if demanding attention. Madame Gloria stood shakily and moved closer. "May I see him?" she whispered. Amira nodded. She placed the baby gently in the older woman's arms. And just like that, the world changed. The hatred melted. The walls fell. The family rebuilt itself. Days later, when the baby was named, when Amira moved into a safe home with Khalil, when Madame Gloria began visiting every week with bags of food and baby clothes, when laughter replaced fear, Amira finally whispered to herself, "I survived." And she did more than survive. She found love. She found family. She found peace. And the baby, the child born from a night of pity and pain, became the beginning of a new life for all of them.